Thank the gentleman for yielding, and must say that if I had just arrived here from out of town, I would think I was in a college literature class listening to Orwellian doublespeak at its best and examples thereof. When we talk about investments, this new big government order really means tax increases and increases. We talk about bold, swift action. That means more big government power grabs. They talk about pro-business regulation and modernization of energy. That's just more government dictating to the private sector. They talk about rebuilding America and new modern job creation. Those jobs are coming from the government. Those are government jobs. They talk about health care reform. It's just plain old socialized medicine. And then they talk about cutting the deficit, but they don't tell you it's their own deficit. If the gentleman from Massachusetts could tell me what the deficit is today, as I sit here and listen, then all I have to do is divide that by half. But that's not true at all. What you're doing is increasing spending, and then based on some phony, we're going to grow the government next year by 4%, then we're going to cut the deficit. Come on, guys, that doesn't sell, and you know it. And we hear over and over again, this is George Bush, Dick Cheney, Halliburton's, Blackwater, and everybody else's fault but the Democrat Party. But who's been in charge for 2 years? It was you guys. That under your watch, $29 billion spent on AIG, $200 billion last year on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, $168 billion for a stimulus bill last year, a year ago. $85 billion going up to $140 billion for AIG in September, $700 billion in October for Wall Street, and then just in January, $790 billion for a stimulus bill, followed by a $410 billion omnibus bill, which had over 9,000 earmarks, which the new president was going to cut every earmark out and not accept any. At what point are we Democrats going to go ahead and admit you own the House, you own the Senate, and the White House? This stuff all happened under your watch. Get over George Bush. You are now in charge. And I want to say this, as an Appropriations Committee member during the period of time when George Bush was president and we were in the majority.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to yield my friend an additional minute.
We never had one appropriation bill that spent enough money for you guys. And you know it. And the records show it in the appropriations debate over and over again. It didn't spend enough money. So now we're hearing that your fiscal discipline, I just think it's laughable to think about this. Your budget spends too much, taxes too much, and borrows too much. We will be borrowing more money from the Chinese. Indeed, the new Secretary of State's first trip was over to China to say, please continue to lend us money. The deficits that go on will never fall below $500 billion. But I understand you're going to jack up spending so you can say you cut it in half, and that's the way you want to do business. Tax increases. $1.5 trillion in tax increases, and a lot of it will fall on the backs of farmers and small businesses, the very people you have the nerve to say that you are trying to help. And the total spending outlays of $3.5 trillion in the year 2010. This budget should be rejected. It spends too much, borrows too much, and taxes too much. And I yield back.